Hi everyone, welcome to today's Veevart live training. How are you? Perfect. So I'm going to be your host. My name is Valentina Rai. I'm going to be the person who's going to helping you with your questions and everything about the training. So I'm the customer success manager here at Veevart. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I want to introduce to Lara. Lara is our implementation senior, and she's going to be the one that is going to be the training.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So for today's topic, we're going to be reviewing ticketing communications and reminders. It's a new feature that we recently have added to our ticketing area. Great. So let me just share my screen and we'll get started. Can everyone confirm that they are able to see a presentation screen? So, as I mentioned, ticketing communications is what we're looking at today. The agenda and the points we're going to review for this new feature is how to create email templates for the different communications that we want to go out with ticketing. We also are going to see, once we have our email templates set, how we can set these automations up, and as well as for certain events, how we can avoid for these communications to go out for those, and just some additional notes that we have for you guys to take for this. So usually what's like the most common use cases that you guys can use this feature for? The first one is surveys. So many museums have been asking us like, hey, how do I send the survey after an event has happened? We want to just kind of collect extra information about what they thought about the event or anything like that. So this is one of the cases in which we can use this feature, as well as reminders. So some of you want to send reminders a few days or a day before the event actually starts, or the day that they purchased the ticket for to visit. You kind of want to remind them that they have purchased that for this day. So this is like the two most common ones that have come up for this. So let's get started into the first point on how can we create email templates for our ticketing communications. So there's two ways that we can create these templates. The first one is the basic way to do it, which is a bit more simpler, friendlier to do. And it's, first of all of our email templates, you'll find them that you've created or want to use, can find them in the email templates object by going to the app launcher, as we saw, which is the 9 dots on the left, and typing email templates. From here, you can click new email template and start setting it up. So the first thing, it'll ask for us a name for this template. This is an internal name that you guys can place so you can identify what this template is for. In my example, I'm doing a reminder for upcoming events. Then we have the related entity type. What is this? This is the object where the information from the ticketing, we're going to bring that information over from. So any ticketing communications should always be with this object ticketing in this section. Then we have the description. The description, of course, like the purpose of this template in case you want to add more information for anyone else who decides to use it. And folders, so we can organize how we want to see or find our different email templates. So we can do private, which remember that the private folders is specifically that the user who's creating this template can see. So that means, for example, I create this template, I leave it in private. Valentina here wouldn't be able to see my template or use it. But if I, for example, leave it in a public email template folder or create another folder that allows everyone else to see it, then she'll be able to access it and anyone else in the platform can access it. So in my example, I'm just kind of creating a folder to organize where this is going to go. Then we get into the message content. So this is where we start setting up the email as is. The first part, of course, is the subject. So just like all emails, we need our subject to call in the person, give them context of what the email is about. Then we have this section, which is the body of the email. So from here, just like any other email feature, you can change fonts, sizes, do bolding, change color of text, add hyperlinks, images, all of this. So all of this is available. Then we have something all the way at the bottom, as you can see, like two brackets called insert merge fields. This section right here, it is important as it can help you bring over automatically information depending on the person or the ticket that we are referring to. What do I mean by this? So for example, you'll see we have sections such as recipient, sender, organization, and ticketing. Recipient would be to bring over the information of the person who we're sending the email to, right? So let's say instead of having to type, hi, Valentina, hi, Emily, hi, Robert, anything like that, you can simply search for the field first name or full name, last name, or any type of other information you need. And what that will do is, depending on the person you're sending it to, the system will automatically pull the person's name. Then we can just do like the rest of our email. And as long as we're doing this, we can continue using this merge field feature. So for example, in my case here, I want to bring over something from the ticketing. So I want to reference the event name, since the event name may change between the people who purchased the tickets. Then I wanted to bring over exactly what's in the ticket that they purchased. So I'll search for exhibitions attended. Then I'll proceed to continue writing the rest of my email and just continue pulling information. So I want to bring over the date that they purchased for. So that's why I'm looking for dates. They're in the merge field. I as well want to remind them what their ticket ID is. So I'll go back into the ticketing. As I mentioned, this is what holds all the ticket information. And I'll add that there. And then I'll just continue to finish off my email. And then from there, just do a bit of like more customizations. So I will do centering, bolding, changing colors of certain texts, all of this. And then, as you can see, we don't have a header or anything like that. So from here, we can add images. In my case, I'm going to add, for example, the museum logo. So I'll search for Veevart, and in case you don't have your logos here yet, you can upload the image of the logo. There you go. And as well, you can make sure to have a footer in case you need a footer for your email. And once we're done, we save it out. And that's how we create our email templates. Perfect. So if that's our basic email template, how is the advanced one? As I mentioned just now, the advanced one is with HTML knowledge. So this is a bit more of a like coding type of knowledge that you may need. So the process is pretty much the same as we see here. You can place the name, description, link it to the ticketing, add a subject. And what changes is that when we're doing the body, there's a source button. We click on the source button, and as you can see, the format that we're looking at has completely changed. So if you have HTML knowledge, then you can proceed to do your email through this view and add extra customizations through here. So an example that we did here was a button. So we did like a survey button that will also redirect the person to another form. So if I re-click source, I'll be able to see how it's kind of going to look like. And that's how we would do any HTML emails, as well as for the subject. If you have a bit more confidence in using those merge fields and anything like that, you could always use those as a reference in your subject as well. Please remember that if you have any questions along the training, you can write them down in the chat, and at the end of our training, we will have a space to go over these. Perfect. So now that we know the two ways we can do email templates in Salesforce Veevart, here are some tips I have for this. So the first one is always have a tab open as a reference with the ticket. I personally do this when I'm starting to learn how to use certain features. It's really helpful to know where things are located and where the information I want is exactly. And the second one, of course, is to test and see how your email templates look like before you add it into any automations. How do we do that? So for the first tip, which is the referencing, what you can do is you'll go into a ticket. So here I'll go into ticketing, select a random ticket, and just have this screen open. And then I'll have in another tab.
Hello.
Hi,
Can
everyone.
you hear me, guys? Perfect. We are
Great.
really sorry and apologize for the problem. So let's get started.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. So I'll just go back to the tips. I don't know if this is where we were before it fell. You guys can confirm, or was it in the advanced emails? So for the tips when creating email templates. When we're creating email templates, I have two tips that I personally like to do. And the first one is having a tab open with a ticket to be able to reference the fields that we need, or that have the information that we need at least. So what we can do is, in my case, I'll go and open a random ticket under the ticketing section, just so I can see. So here that I can, all the information I can bring. And then in another tab, I'll have my email template open. So as I am writing my emails and using the merge, I can look for the specific field that I need to bring over into my email. So for example, here I brought over the event because I wanted to bring over the event name. If I'm not sure, I can look into the ticketing and see, oh, it's under the field called exhibitions attended. So I know that it should bring me, for this person, general admission. Then for example, ticket ID, if I go back, I'll say, oh, okay, their ticket number is under this field. So I know in the merge field, I have to look for that field name. And you can do the same with other fields, such as like the POS purchase, in case you want to do like the full purchase ID, or anything else that we're seeing there. So for example, total visitors. Let's say I want to bring the field total visitors to my email template. So I'll say expected number of visitors, and I'll go to our merge field section in the ticketing and write and search for total visitors. And now that will bring over the information that I was seeing there. And the same thing goes for all of the other fields you see here. So in case you want to bring amounts, refunds, payment methods, anything like that, you're able to bring that over. So that's my first tip. My second tip is to first view how the email is going to look like as if you were a recipient. You can do that by going, let's say, under a ticket, and making sure that in this activity tab, you have this email button, like an envelope button. In case you don't, make sure to let your customer success manager or your implementation manager, in case that you're in the implementation phase, that you need this button here. When you click on it, you'll be able to pretty much same structure of a regular email. Make sure to put someone as a recipient in order for it to know whose information it needs to look up. Then we're going to, so in this case, usually the recipient matches the person who's in the ticket. And then subject and body, we already have the template created for. So in this section, you'll see at the bottom, this little like paper with a plus called email templates. We'll click there. If you were the creator of the email template, you'll most likely see it in the recently used templates. But in case you don't see the template here, you can click on where it says insert a template. And then in the templates section, all Lightning templates. And you'll see all of the email templates that have been created and people have access to. So I'll use my upcoming reminder. And as you can see, subject and body was populated. So now there's a little I at the bottom where it says preview email. And I'm able to see it, how it would look like. So it brought over the person's name, the event name, which is general admission, under the ticket that we're using as a test. And then for reservation details, it told me that the ticket is to visit the 10th of April, and then the ticket ID and all of this that we have already set up. So the purpose of the merge fields, as I keep mentioning, is this specific thing, that if I go to another ticket, it'll bring me it'll change the information automatically, as that ticket may be very different. And that's how you can view your email templates as well. Perfect. So now we have our emails ready to be set. How do we set them in the automation? So from here, once we have this done, we'll go back to the app launcher, the 9 dots, and write ticketing communications. This is the new feature that was created. As you can see, the message above, it says the communications created today are scheduled to run tomorrow. So that means if you're planning to have any communications go out immediately, it will not go out immediately, as this has a specific way of running. So we're going to click on add new communication. And of course, we can place a name for this automation. I believe, let's see, I put upcoming event reminders, as I've been doing so far. And then you have the communication template. So this is where you search up that email template that you were creating. Next, we have apply to event type. And this is an important piece of information. Right now, this feature is general for the event types, meaning that if you want, let's say, to send a survey specifically to just one event, that's not possible at the moment. The idea is that these communications are available to be sent across all specific types of events. So how do we know what these types are? So here we see ticketing, courses, and groups. If we go to a regular event, you'll be able to see that in the ticketing tab under event details, at the top, there's a gray section that will let you know if it's a courses. So courses is courses 2.0, if it's a group, and then regular ticketing events are under exhibition. These are the 3 categories that we're seeing in the automation. Hi, everyone, can you hear us again?
Can you hear us again?
Yeah, sorry about this. We're trying like a new microphone situation and it seems to have some issues. Perfect. So I'll just go back a little bit. So we were talking about that in our automation feature, we have to select a type of event. So the ticketing courses groups types are based on the types we're able to select to create the different groups. So if we go to an exhibition or an event that we have created in the system, under the event details, you'll be able to see this grayed out section. This grayed out section will tell us what event type it is. In the case, courses 2.0, groups, or for regular ticketing, it's exhibition. So based on these three groups, we're able to set how we want to send out these different communications. In my case, I'm going to do ticketing, but you can select all three in case it's for example, reminders. You can set up reminders to go out for all of the events. Any type of events, you'll select all three. If it's something more specific, let's say just to regular events or specifically for courses, then you can do so from here. Now, the next section is the status of the ticket. To start off, let's understand what each status of the ticket means. As a refresher for some, if you already know, confirmed means that the ticket has been checked in. Sold means that the person has purchased the ticket, but they haven't visited the museum yet, or at least it wasn't checked in. And then we have reserves, which is usually for free tickets or for tickets that have not been paid yet. So depending on the type of, let's say, communication that this is, you can select what the status of the ticket should be. For example, reminders would be great for sold or reserved tickets, just so people know that, oh, hey, you haven't visited yet, like this is an event that's about to happen, it's coming soon, and they purchased for a specific date for that event. For example, in the case of a communication that is after the event, then it would be confirmed, let's say a survey. So for the survey, you want to ask survey questions about the events or about their visit in general for people who actually did come to the museum. So you'll make sure that the status of the ticket should be confirmed. So we know that, oh, they did come to the museum, so let's send it out to see what their answer is. So in my case, I selected sold and reserved as it's a reminder type. And then we have the next section, which is communication type. So there I have like 8 a.m., but we're able to add different time slots to this. So you can have all the hours throughout the day if you need, specific hours throughout the day you need, if you have strategic times to send emails. So you can have that set up. Then we have when. So this is where we do should it be sent before the event starts, after the event starts, and if it's any of those two, how many days before or how many days after the event. And then we have same day in case you need it to, for example, the survey. It can be sent the same day after the event have finished or a day after the event. And at the top, you'll see the setup. So you'll always be able to reference like, oh, this one is always sent at 8 a.m., 2 days before the ticket starts. So I will save it out. And I'll just I've created here like a new one for the whole after situation, just as an example. Yeah, so as I mentioned about the surveys, could be same day or after, and I saved it out. And we can build multiple types of communications throughout for our events. Now, if you want to deactivate any of these communications, you'll see that next to the little red trash button, there's the active. If you click on that toggle, it'll turn off the communication. And that's pretty much how we set it up. So once we have set it up, how do we avoid for it to send for those specific events where we don't want this to happen? For this, you're able to go to exhibition events and go to the specific event that you don't want this to be sent to. And you should be seeing on your layout a field called allows communication sending. If this field is in false, it means it will not send out these automatic reminders or surveys or anything to people registered to that event. If it's true, then it'll go out for people who registered to this event. So pretty much is just setting it up. You'll find that there's like a help information there. So let's say I want it to be sent for this date camp, but then I go to my art exhibition and I want to mark it that for this one, I don't want people to receive anything. And that's how we're able to avoid these communications. Some additional notes about this. Active communications will be sent to every contact that has purchased a ticket to an event. Communications will not be sent out to contacts that in their layout have this field, do not send automatic communications, marked as true. So if this is marked, they'll be like the exception. If the event has it marked as true, they're the exception of that being sent out. And lastly, the communication does have activity tracking in both the contact and the ticket. So if I go to Laura's contact, I'm able to see there that, oh, that reminder or that communication was sent out. And if I go to the specific ticket that that communication was for, I'll also be able to see this tracking there. As well, of course, we have more information about this in our knowledge base. You'll be able to find the articles related to this there. And now we're in our questions and answers section. So let's go over the different questions we have here. So we have from Emily, if they purchase multiple tickets in the same transaction, will it show the name of the event upcoming or all of them on the ticket? It would show separate from the ticket. So depending on the event. Then we have Joe who asks, are custom fields supported in the merge fields? And what about image fields? Great. So custom fields are supported as long as they're created within the contact for the recipient specifically, or in that ticketing section for the tickets, which is usually where most of our ticket forms questions are placed. Something important about that is to keep in mind, okay, if we're going to do a communication, let's say a specific event had a form and it has these questions that are very specific to that event, that same communication will go out for other events, as this is more of a general communication for the different types of events that there is. So it'll probably show empty if it doesn't have any information for any other events people have applied to. What about image fields? So images, this would be able to be brought over, but it's more of a HTML type of situation that you guys can work on to bring over the image format. Melissa asked, how can you see the email? Can you see how the email will look like to a recipient before you deploy it? Yes, so as I showed it, the best way to see it is to go into a ticket and simply go into the activities and doing the process from there in the activities with the little view button, just so you can see what information it's pulling up, if it's pulling up the correct information, and all of this. Then we have Celine. When will this be available for individual events? So that's a great question. At the moment, we just recently did a general, so it's most likely in our product pipeline to get it. Delivery dates are pending. So if you're really interested in it, you can ask your customer success manager so that they can get in touch with the product manager directly to see if they're working on it, if it's planned in a different quarter for this delivery to be done. Could one schedule a communication relative to the date of the purchase rather than the date of the event? So right now, at the moment, we don't have a way to choose what date it's looking at. So it's always going to be relative to the date that they're assisting. Perfect. And I don't see any other questions. So I'm taking it as that's it for today. If you guys are interested and have more questions, or maybe to see a bit more in depth or with a specific use case that's for you, you can ask your customer success manager or your implementation executive to just kind of go through the flow of how this goes, how that would be for your specific case, and if that would work for you or not. And that's all for today. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you very much for making this training. And thank you everyone for participating in this training. And you're going to be notified for the next live training. Remember that our goal is to provide you the best support as well as this presentation will be uploaded. And we'll be sending this to all your clients. So also, we always recommend to visit our support page on Veevart.com. And if you have any other doubts, feel free to contact your customer success manager, or if it is an implementation process, your implementation seniors. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Bye, everyone.